Hi everyone, GCT Academy is an exciting new show that will help golfers of all levels develop your game. I'll be your host, Prochan Wonglukiet. Have you ever wondered, when we get to the driving range or the golf course, what to work on first? What to do? Your swing is not feeling right. Well, today we have Director of Instruction, Bkk B1, who will help you answer this question. Bkk, welcome.
Thank you, Chan. Pleasure being here. Thank you. And great question on one of the main things that I look for with my students is, what do we choose to work on? How do you prioritize what's most important? And how I do that is my acid test, I call it, is what does everyone do? Every great player, every great ball striker, top tour player, if all of them do something, you need to be doing that. If all of them do not do something, you need to not be doing that. That's basically the absolute. And in between there, say half the players do something. That's not a big priority. If you do something a little different than standard, say Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson with their left wrist, Jordan with his funky grip, not necessary to get these things done. So that's how I prioritize it with my students. That's how I think you should do it at the driving range as well. Right. Figure out what the best players do, all of them, the absolute fundamentals, and work on those first.
Okay, well, very interesting acid test. Well, I see that you have some swing examples up here. Can we take a look at how do we determine their acid test?
Right, absolutely. Looking at the downswing plane. This is one of what I call my 100%ers. Every single successful tour player gets into this position on the downswing. Where
on the left we have
Charles Schwartzel, one of the best golf swings on the planet. Rory McIlroy, everyone knows that's a fantastic golf swing as well.
Both major champions.
Both major champions, exactly. Two of the top players in the world. Charles, a fairly standard example of what the best players in the world do. And that's in this position when the shaft is perpendicular to the ground or parallel flat with your screen. With an iron, it's pointed above or past the golf ball. Every single one of them. Have yet to find an example of someone pointed inside the golf ball.
Right, so we're talking about the delivery position.
Right,
just
right.
Before impact.
Yeah, I'd say halfway down, rather than my definition, deliveries a little bit farther down than that. I'd say middle of the down.
Okay.
So just semantics, I guess. And then example of Rory as well, he does the same thing, but he does it a little bit differently. He's what I call a low roader, right? A lot of the best ball strikers in history were low roaders. Ben Hogan, Lee Trevino, Sergio Garcia, and Rory. They're going to be still above the ball, but actually down through the right forearm already. All right, still above the ball in this halfway down the downswing position. So this is an absolute. If you want to be a successful tour player, absolutely 100%. I've never seen anyone that does not do this. All right? If you just want to be a better player, you can focus a little bit later.
So regardless of the player or the body type, for a good player, they relatively have it mostly near, the butt end, near to the impact to the ball.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be. I'll give you an example here. Anyway, it's going to be. This is the absolute for everyone, right? Is that this needs to be at the target or slightly right of it, right? You won't see any good players out here relative to their body. So your body and the target can be different things. That's where it gets a little confusing sometimes. But this position, you have some pretty good players, scratch golfers, that will get steep inside the ball here, and then reroute it this way. You can be pretty good, but it won't hold up when you're playing for the big dog.
Okay, Bkk, can you show us the correct delivery downswing plane?
I will do my best.
7 iron, right?
7 iron, right? And just a standard little draw, hopefully. All right, that should be okay. Okay.
So that's like a little baby draw. So what were you trying to do there?
Right there. Nothing actually. Hopefully it's still automatically where I'd like it to be. And it's, you know, as a former tour player, it's going to be there. Right. Last I checked, it was still there. I haven't looked closely lately.
But like when you see like, you know, single handicappers, you know, when they, or even mid handicap, you know, what would be their position that's off?
Usually the lower handicappers, you kind of hit fake draws if you want to call it.
Can you show us?
It's slow motion, a little easier to show here. They'll get steep here where that club is pointed inside the ball. And then I always tell them they're pretty clever to be able to do this. Get from a position where high handicappers will generally slice and pull, they'll reroute the club into a shallow position. Some pretty good players, good juniors will do this. Unfortunately, it tends to reroute into too shallow, too deep, and then you get hooks and pushes from there. Good players problem.
So what you're trying to say is that, you know, if you don't get it good in downswing playing, or relatively in a good position, what happens is that then you start to reroute.
Right, exactly. The best players get it on plane earlier. Right? The okay players get it on plane eventually, and hopefully it stays there through impact. The high handicappers are off plane the whole way through. So it is, to me, one of the most important things to look at. Obviously, you need a good grip, good setup to make everything add up to good golf shots, but this is one of my 100%ers that you want to be a really good player, you need to do.
Okay, Ahmad, that was a really good tip, and you know, tell us, you know, for today's lesson about the acid test and the downswing.
Right. I think it's really important, John, to understand what to work on. Right? It's a tough choice to make, but if you study the best players, the better players, it's much easier to decide. You look at your swing and say, I'm not doing that, and they're all doing this. That's probably something high on the list of what to do to make you a better golfer. As we talked about today, the downswing plane, very important. It impacts the moment of truth, impact. Right? It plays a direct role on what goes on, and that's all the ball really cares about. So we can always work back from that. And again, what do the best players do? That's what you should be doing. Finally, practice what you know you need to work on. That's, for a lot of us, the toughest thing to do is get out there and practice it and get used to it so it works on the golf course.
Right. Well, we no longer have to wonder, for those of you at home, that when you go to a driving range now, we want to work on, you know, downswing and the delivery position. Okay, well, don't go away. Next break, you know, for your up-and-coming golfers just starting out golf, we're going to talk about the grip, how important it is to get set up right with the grip.